3, 2, 1. Let's go.
Chris, welcome to the Real Journey Podcast.
Awesome. I'm excited to be here.
Man, I'm excited to hear your story. We were talking before this and about entrepreneurship and business, and we're both excited about business and entrepreneurship. And you run a candle company, and so I wanted to see how is business going for you right now?
Business as a whole is probably down like 50%.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's two phases to my business. There's a wholesale component,
Okay.
selling to wineries, retailers, things of that nature.
Yep.
That probably makes up 70% now.
Okay.
And then the 30% is shows, like art shows, farmers markets, stuff like that.
Okay.
So obviously, and then there's, I'd say, okay, so maybe like 5% was online.
Okay. So small portion online.
Yeah, I never pushed it.
Yeah.
To be honest, this was something I had to learn on the fly. I would rather sell 100 candles at a lower price than make all these one-off candles that came online.
Okay.
Obviously, with what's going on now, I had to switch that mindset to,
Yes.
yeah, I'm cool making that custom candle. Obviously, farmers markets, craft shows don't exist at the moment.
Correct. Yeah.
There's a growing sentiment that they're going to resume hopefully this winter.
I hope so, man.
Hope so.
Yeah.
And then obviously when you sell to wineries and wineries are closed, that component fell to the wayside. But my online did pick up significantly. And
Okay.
I did more in the first 2 months of the shutdown than I did in 2019 combined.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Online.
Online.
Just on that online percentage, not total business.
No, yeah, no. Oh,
Okay,
no.
I was
Yeah,
gonna
yeah,
say,
yeah.
well, your online picked up real fast.
Yeah,
then.
so when you're sitting at home with nothing to do and you have this credit card sitting there, and it's like, might as well buy some candles.
And so you use recycled material.
Correct.
So with the wineries, would you take like their bottles and turn their bottles into the candle and then sell that to them, so then they can turn around and sell it to their
Yeah.
clients and customers?
It's very much a, one man's trash. Sorry about that. One man's trash is another man's treasure kind of thing. So wineries pour through their bottles.
Yeah.
I take out their trash.
Yep.
I do my thing on the back end, and then I resell them their throwaways so they can then resell them to the person that comes in the winery.
Okay. So do you have connections with wineries to like, hey, save these bottles, or
Yeah.
do you just how do you get those bottles?
So whether it's initial straight up from a fresh client, like if a fresh client comes to me and say like, how does this process work?
Okay.
I just say start stashing, as just start putting aside empty bottles that you would want done.
Yeah.
Or, my wife works in the industry.
Yep.
By default, all of her friends are in the industry.
Yes.
And a lot of my friends drink a lot, like some really good wine.
Okay.
So I called up my house a recycling center. So they'll come by and be like, oh, I've been saving this over the month. And they'll drop off, like 30, 40 bottles.
Okay.
Or I work with a bar down the street that saves all of their recycling.
Okay.
And then it was like twice a week I'd swing by, pick up their glass, and then come back to do my thing to them.
And so you cut the tops off of them, and I'm assuming polish the bottle and everything, and keep the. How do you do that without damaging like the label? Because when you're like washing it and cleaning it, I would assume that's a process. in itself.
Carefully is the answer to that. So I use a wet saw.
Okay.
And so, and the bottle stays in one place as I go through.
Okay.
So there's minimal turning, which minimizes the chance of that label getting messed up.
Gotcha.
And then if it's a super delicate label, before I sand it, before it goes to that next step, I let that label dry out.
Okay.
To try to, once again, minimize the chances of that messing up.
Gotcha. I would assume that's a process in itself.
It's so funny, when you're in it, it doesn't seem like anything,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
We talked about you being real estate. It's like when people ask about real estate, it's easy to explain it.
Yes.
Or like in your mind, it's easy. But then when you start laying out the steps, you're like, oh, wow, that is actually a little difficult.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
but at this point, it's kind of like an assembly line.
Okay.
It gets cut, it gets moved over here, It gets sanded, it gets moved over here, it gets washed out, it goes to a different spot.
Okay.
And then the process repeats itself.
That's cool. And then do you mix all your candle and make it all from scratch? And how does that? What's that process?
So I get big boxes of wax.
Okay.
So it comes in 45-pound boxes.
Okay.
I have a giant melter in my shop. It holds 60 pounds of wax.
Okay.
And then the way I like to describe it is kind of like, back in the day to make orange juice, it came in like the frozen concentrate. And it was like one chunk of frozen orange concentrate and like a gallon of water.
I remember that. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Bring me back.
Yeah. So that's how the candle making process is. So I put a little bit of concentrated fragrance oil in the bottom of my pour bucket.
Okay.
Pour the melted wax over the top, mix it up, and then you have a big pot of fragrant wax.
Okay.
And then from there, I pour it into whatever vessels that it's going into.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. And you're taking recycled material and turning it into something people can essentially have in their house for a long time, and really enjoy. So that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
So let me back it up. How did you get into entrepreneurship and candles and business to start with?
It's something that I kind of realized relatively recently.
Okay.
Is I grew up in a very entrepreneurial household.
Okay.
My mom was in real estate.
Okay.
My dad owned his own business from 16 to 25.
Okay.
He was a mechanic. And then he still can do whatever and still can hustle whatever he wants. But that's how I was raised.
So you saw your parents doing their own thing.
Saw my mom hustling. And, with the real estate, the more hours you put in, the bigger you get.
The luckier you get. The harder you work, the luckier you get.
It's amazing how that works, right?
Yeah.
And I can remember from a young age wanting to own my own business.
Okay.
I thought I was going to be an engineer.
Did
and from like age 6, 7, 8, I was like, I'm going to own my own engineering firm.
Okay.
I don't know why.
No, you're saying you're good at math. Were you good at math then and just love numbers and just everything being detail oriented? And
I'm not a super detailed oriented person.
Okay.
But math has always come easy to me.
Okay.
Always.
Gotcha.
And so, when you're young and you show any sort of skill, people are like, oh, he's good at math. You know who's good at math? Engineers.
Yes.
You should be an engineer because you're good at math.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the route that I thought I was going to go down.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I always wanted to. I remember being like 7, 8, 9 years old, putting up flyers around the neighborhood.
No kidding.
Yeah, like for like lawn care.
No kidding. So you had that entrepreneur spirit young.
From the get-go.
Okay.
And then
did you have a motivation to make money young or just like work? What was the motivation?
I think it was a little bit of both.
Okay.
It was kind of like one of those things where my family was fairly middle class.
Mm-hmm.
And so, they lived way outside of their means, so money was always tight.
Okay.
And so it's like, oh, if I wanted something, I realized I was going to have to get it myself.
Gotcha. So
that kind of thing.
So you're like, okay, I better make something happen.
I better hustle on my own to get the things that I want.
Okay. So you're out there mowing lawns and
I tried. I was not very successful at it. So when I was growing up, we lived in not like the country.
Okay.
But like all of our neighbors had like 3 to 5 acres.
Okay.
So like it was a distance in between each person's house.
Gotcha.
So even if I mowed 2 yards in a day, it'd be like
you're pushing that lawnmower
mile. It was like spend 20 minutes mowing the lawn and then walk 30 minutes to the next house and then walk an hour and a half back. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that venture didn't go very well.
Okay.
But it didn't quench my desire to eventually do my own thing.
And were you in school? Were you good in school? Like,
I was talented and very lazy.
Okay.
So the raw talent was there. The intelligence, and I say this humbly, like the intelligence was there.
Yeah.
But I had zero work ethic.
Was it lack of motivation or just like...
It was lack of motivation. My parents split when I was 10.
Okay.
And I lived with my dad. And my dad was always busy.
Gotcha.
He worked full time.
Yeah.
And then he was always doing side projects. So it's like, I was on my own a lot.
Gotcha.
And so it was like, and we lived right next to the high school when I was in high school. So it was like, do I want to go to history
No.
or go game?
Yes.
Go game.
Yeah.
So like, I made it through like a 2-2,
Okay.
2-3,
Yeah.
something in that realm. And college was not much better.
Okay. So you went to high school and then you went to college. What'd you go to college for? What'd you end up majoring in?
So I didn't. So I ended up going to. I started my collegiate career at a junior college to play football.
Okay.
Just walk on. Yeah, I'm a big guy.
Yeah. How tall are you? Like 6'4"?
I'm 6'6".
6'6".
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
6'6". So
Okay.
went down. Took a year off essentially because I wasn't any good. In high school, you can skate by on your size.
Yes.
When you get around real athletes, 6'6", 220 doesn't work.
Yeah.
So took a year off, and then came back the next year, met the woman who is now my wife,
Oh, that's cool.
and started dating her. Felt like it started to get serious. Then I got hurt. And
Playing football?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I got hurt, and I was like, I think I'd rather walk later in life
Yeah.
than go down that route.
What position were you?
Defensive end.
Okay. That's a fun position.
Oh, so fun.
That's a fun position.
So fun.
That's what I played in. I played Pop Warner many years, like 6 years Pop Warner, and then I played my freshman year, and then I didn't play any football after that. But I was defensive end for a couple years. That was a fun position.
It's a lot of fun. You get hit a lot.
Yeah, you get to hit a lot, though.
Yeah, you get to hit a lot.
Yeah, that's the fun
The
part.
best feeling was always like hitting someone, and they'd be like, "Oh!" and you're like, "Yes, mission accomplished." But yeah, so
And so, were you working? Do you ever have a job?
Oh,
between?
yeah.
Okay, so
Oh,
like,
yeah.
what kind of jobs were you taking at this time?
man, I worked retail when I was 16. I worked at Ralph Lauren,
Okay.
and then I've spent a majority of my life in the restaurant industry.
Have you? What,
Yeah.
like server?
Started out as a busser when I was like 17.
Okay.
Busser, expediter, sometimes dishwasher.
Okay.
Moved into the serving role a couple years later.
Okay.
But so I always had a job.
That's such a hard gig. Retail's hard, but then restaurants, like I couldn't imagine, dude. That's such a hard business.
It's a hard business, but it's a fun business.
Okay.
But yeah, so I mean, went to school for engineering. It took me 5 years to get my 2-year degree.
Okay.
Because I was so distracted. You know, I had a serious girlfriend, then I had a wife, working full time throughout school.
Yeah.
Always had a side hustle, and
Okay.
school just never appealed to me.
Gotcha.
Like, I kept working at it
Yeah.
because people are like, "You need to do this. You need to do this. You need to do this." I was like,
You're on. That's not my plan. I got other visions for myself. Now, did you have a vision or?
I did, but I didn't.
So what was your future in your mind at that time?
I just knew I had to work for myself
Okay.
at some point. I actually interned at Caltrans for a summer.
Okay.
Saw what Caltrans engineers did.
Okay.
And it was during that internship that my dreams of becoming an engineer went out the window.
Why is that?
I've always been a outdoor person. I've always been more of an extrovert.
Okay.
And so being around all these engineers who sat inside all day, who sat in front of computers, who had super awkward conversations around break tables, I was like, this isn't the life that I envisioned for myself.
Okay.
So I owned my own landscaping business for 3 years. I started a wine barrel furniture business.
Okay.
And then
And what was that? So you started a landscaping business. What did that look like?
mowing lawns.
Okay.
Getting back to my roots.
Yeah, so literally pun intended.
Yeah.
So did you just have a truck and a lawnmower, and was it just mow and blows, or?
So when I first started, I didn't even have a truck.
Okay.
I had a 2-door Honda Civic. I called myself the Green Gardener because I didn't have a truck. All my equipment was electric.
Okay.
And I would load my lawnmower in and out of my trunk. Like my back seats were folded down to hold my edger, and like all my tools were just in my car.
Okay.
Eventually I did upgrade and buy a truck.
And how many clients did you have at that point?
I had not many. Not many. It was like,
They're like pity. They're like, All right, I guess I'll pay you to mow my lawn.
I think it was like I think they just saw a kid that was like trying to do something.
Yes. How old were you?
I was 18, 19 years old.
That's awesome. But you were hustling. You were trying.
Yeah.
You know, you took action.
Working in the garden department at Home Depot, trying to pick up clients as I sold plants, going to school, and then like mowing lawns on the weekends,
Okay.
or like whenever it would fit into my schedule.
Gotcha. That's so funny. So you're at Home Depot. You're like, yes, ma'am. And if you have a lawn, I can come mow it for you.
Yeah.
Do you have a gardener?
Well, here's my card. If you need someone to put these in the ground and take care of them.
Now, did you get that job to try and build like?
No.
Okay.
It was literally like, I'm broke. I need money. I applied to like 10 jobs, and Home Depot was like, yeah, we need someone. I'm like, cool.
And were you already mowing lawns before you started Home Depot?
I don't think so.
Okay, so you just saw a need. You're like, you know what? These people probably need some lawns mowed outside of this.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And so you did that for 3 years. How were you able to grow it?
I grew it a little bit. I bit off more than I could chew.
What do you mean by that?
So I started telling people like, I can design you
Okay.
an elaborate thing. And so I actually designed and built some very elaborate projects,
Okay.
which I shouldn't have because it was illegal for me to do so.
Yeah.
And it took exponentially longer than it should have
Okay.
because I was going to school.
Okay. So you're still doing this part time.
Still going to school full time.
Okay.
Fitting in these grandiose projects whenever I could. To be honest, my skill set was poor.
Okay.
I didn't know what I was doing.
Did you have employees at all?
No.
Okay. So this.
I think when I had like really, really heavy things,
Yeah.
I had friends that would step in.
Okay. You call everyone. Hey,
Yeah.
man, I need some help.
You're strong. I'm doing a flagstone patio today. Can you help?
And how'd you learn that skill? Like to put a flagstone patio? You just learned it?
Google.
So just Google
And YouTube.
YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay. And you didn't let it stop. And I love that because, you know, even though you bit off too much, you were still willing to go after it. You know, you're still willing to fail.
100%.
And that's, you know, that's a trait in itself, right? Like just being able to put your, yeah, let's do it. I'll take this on. No problem. I can do this. Yes. And they go, oh, this guy's very confident. All
This
right.
guy's confident. He's not charging me much. Let's do this. 3 months later, why did I hire this guy? This project should have taken 3 to 4 weeks. Here I am 3 months in, and it still looks bad.
What was your biggest project?
I did 1,000 square foot patio, flagstone patio, not flag, like cobblestone patio.
Cobblestone. Okay.
With in total, it was a 50-foot sitting area around the edges.
Mm-hmm.
With like built-in lights and like like flagstone columns, and so that one was huge. And then I did a whole green-based front yard for someone.
Okay.
So like those are the 2 big projects, and it was like literally after the second project, I got burned, and I was like, yeah, this isn't for me.
You got burned from the client?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
once again, I shouldn't have been doing what I was doing.
Okay.
But I gave him my final bill, and he's like, yeah, I'm going to give you half of this. And I'm like, well, I got it done in the time that we agreed upon. And he goes, yeah, but you don't have your license, so you can either take what I'm going to give you or I'm going to report you.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Okay. And what'd you learn from that lesson?
To cross my T's and dot my I's,
Okay.
and to have better contracts in place if I ever go there again.
Yeah.
You know,
Because that's a lesson that'll carry you forward in everything you do.
I'll never forget one of the guys I listened to.
Uh-huh.
Talked about his employees, and he goes, you know what? So many employers are quick to fire an employee over $1,000 mistake,
Yeah.
and then they scale, and then a different employee makes $1 million mistake. It's the same mistake that the 1,000 person made,
Yeah.
but it's so much bigger now.
Okay.
So that was one of my lessons is, you know, I lost $2,000, which seemed like $30,000 at the time.
Yes.
But moving forward, the lessons it taught me
Yeah.
have really like carried me through.
That I would think that that's a powerful lesson in the beginning of your entrepreneur venture.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, dang, I need to cross my T's, dot my I's. I need to make sure if somebody does this, it's like, no, I'm legit. I did a service and, you know, we need to square this up.
Yeah.
You can't bully me in a sense.
Yeah.
And that person probably knew exactly what they were doing from the get-go.
100%.
You know, they were like, oh, I'm going to take advantage of this. When
1,000%.
Okay. And then were you taking payments during?
A little bit, yeah.
But not, and you're like, I need to take bigger draws during as well.
It was more of, that was another lesson is, you know, learning how to get paid.
Yeah.
And feeling comfortable with the idea of charging your worth.
Yes.
Because when you're new to business or you're new to this game,
Yeah.
asking people for money is a really weird stigma for me to even get around.
I think that's a stigma for everybody.
Well, on a whole different level, one of the problems is like we're not, at least I wasn't taught as a kid about money.
Okay. Yes, me either.
Money is, even today, is such a off topic. You don't talk about money. It's one of the cardinal sins of conversation.
What's your thoughts on that? Do you think it's hurtful or helpful?
It's hurtful.
Big time, huh?
If you look at all of, once again, if you want to go on a complete tangent, all of the major topics that are not kosher
Yeah.
are the problems in society.
Yeah.
Like if you look at like the big 3 or the big 4,
Yeah.
every single one of those we have issues with, like major core societal dysfunction.
But it's like, I'll just sweep that under the rug.
Yeah,
We don't
yeah.
want to talk about it. That's a debate. That's a conversation. That's a deep conversation we're not willing to have. You listen to Cardone at all?
I listen to him a little bit.
Okay. Because he talks about money all the time.
Yeah.
And he's like one of the different people that has money that talks about money.
Well, Cardone, I listen to Andy Frisella.
Yeah. Mhm.
Andy's not shy about that. I mean, even Gary to some point he's completely fine talking about it.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's people see all these big successful people
Yeah.
talking about money openly, and like, money's changed them. You know, they're doing that for clicks. And
Yeah.
I'm like, or that's actually how they feel, and the reason they feel the way they do about money, it hasn't changed.
Yeah.
Now, you know, I mean, I read Grant's book,
Okay. Which one?
10X, the 10X rule.
Okay.
And he's like, yeah, I have the same mentality worth, you know, pushing a B than when I had negative 10,000 in my account.
Yeah.
He goes, my attitude is the same way towards money.
Yeah.
And that's why but that's
And then money's like a different framework. And so like I sold I have a truck that was like a beater truck, and I sold it yesterday, and I'm like, man,
congrats.
and it was a nice truck, but it was like I bought it before I got my other truck, and
But your new truck is very nice.
thank you. And so but I sold it yesterday, and or the day before yesterday I sold it, and I was sad selling. I was like, oh, my diesel truck, you know, I sold it. But I was happy because I was like, man, when I sell this truck, I'm going to put all that money into my business, right? I'm just going to put all that's just that money was, and framing it different, right? That truck was sitting in my backyard collecting dust.
What was it?
It was a 2006 Dodge Cummins diesel.
So a big boy truck.
Yeah, crew cat. You know, I used it to tow my Bobcat and stuff, and so, but I've just been using this truck because this truck's got a ton of power and it's perfect. And so I was like, man, I'm gonna sell that thing, and I'm just gonna put that money towards my business, and I'm gonna have that grow. And so instead of having this depreciating asset that's sitting in my backyard that's not doing anything for me, just a different mindset, right? Going, man, I can put that to use, and I can buy a newer, better Dodge diesel in the future if I put that money to use. So it's almost just having a different frame set on money. Like money is fuel. Money's fuel to move and shake, and it's, you know, it's fluid. It shouldn't be,
100%.
you know what I mean? It's not something you get and it's like, oh my goodness, I'm not going to get this anymore. And going back to, you know, the point, and that's one of the things that's helped me, because going back to your point of, it's hard to justify your own worth, right?
Right.
And I was talking to Jermaine about his art, and he's like, man, I didn't know how to price my art because it just came natural to me.
Yeah.
And so, you know, same thing. But then you look at it like, no, money's a tool. Money's used to go,
tool.
you know? And so you got to think of it and frame it different. And then all of a sudden it becomes a different conversation. It becomes a different, oh yeah, this is, you know, I'm going to I need this money so I can employ people, and it's just a different mindset, I think, with money. But yeah, we're not talking about it enough.
I mean, that's, if you talk to you, me, Jermaine, any of these people that now see that,
Yeah.
because I even had that was a big shift in my mental thing, like within the past 3 years.
Yeah.
When I literally stopped caring about money, my net worth grew.
Yes, it's crazy,
my business
right?
grew.
Yes.
That's what I tell my wife all the time. I'm like, she goes, "Can I get this?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah." There's money around the corner. Like, and like kind of like you said when off camera we're talking about visualizing, putting stuff into the universe.
Yeah.
That's real. Because when I stopped caring, like I said, when I stopped caring, I started getting more clients.
Yes.
And now even today, I'm like, well, maybe not today, but in general, I'm like, I'm gonna go buy that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go buy this. Like, I'm not doing it willy-nilly. But yeah, I use money as a tool to springboard into something else.
Yes. And it's a powerful tool, and that mindset is it's different, but it always happens like that. It's like when you think something's gonna be bad, but then you step back and you stop focusing on the negative, and you just go, okay, well, I'm just gonna do everything that I can to control the outcome that I want, and I'm not going to focus on what I can't control. All of a sudden things come to you, and it's like, oh my goodness, that was a miracle, right? And it's like,
like you said, it's like the harder you work, the luckier you get.
Yeah. And so
it's amazing how that works.
It is amazing. So 3 years in the business. What'd you do after the landscaping?
So after I got shorted,
yes,
we'll use the polite term, shorted. We were living in Paso Robles or San Luis Obispo, wine country, another great wine country.
Yeah.
We went wine tasting.
Okay.
And I was looking at this furniture, this little thing built out of a wine barrel, and looked at the price tag, and I'm like, I bet I could teach myself to build this better, and it'll cost cheaper.
Yes.
And so I asked my wife, I was like, hey, can I buy some wine barrels? And she could tell. She could tell. She's like, yeah, you do you. So I bought some wine barrels, started making furniture, and it was literally the same way I learned how to landscape.
Okay.
Wood was not in my background.
Okay.
But I taught myself how to do it.
Just online,
trial and error.
Yep.
And started to grow that a little bit.
And how'd you grow that? Was that like how'd you get sales?
Same basic formulas I have today. I was going to craft shows. My wife was fresh out of college. The only job she could get was in a tasting room.
Okay.
Working part-time. So I started to sell out of that tasting room.
Okay.
And posting ads on Craigslist. So this was before Instagram.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And I didn't know how to utilize Facebook.
Okay. So
I was literally just posting stuff on Craigslist, like, hey, wine barrel furniture, these are our prices. We offer wholesale. If anyone's interested, give me a call.
Yeah.
So that's just.
And you were just selling them.
Yeah.
And did you run it like a business, or was it a cash business? Okay.
It was a cash business.
Okay.
People were like, oh, do you have a business account? I'm like, what's that? What's a P&L? I still don't even. I have a general idea, but like people are like, oh, what's your P&L? I'm like, I have no idea, because I just roll everything back into the business.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it was the same formula as the landscaping business, though.
Okay.
It was a side hustle.
Yes.
While I was going to school and while I was serving.
Okay.
In a different restaurant.
And how long did you do that for?
I was at that restaurant for 2.5 years.
No, the furniture?
I still do it a little bit.
Okay.
Just not as much. So I did that for 2.5 years ish.
And were you like focused on one design, or would you do multiple designs?
It was literally like go on Pinterest. Oh, this looks cool.
Okay.
Teach myself how to do it. Build it. If it worked, keep building it.
Looking in hindsight, do you think it would have been smarter to like master one piece of furniture, or 3-4 pieces, and just try and pump those out? Or
no, I mean, every business model is different.
Yeah.
My problem in general, and if you really want to loop this around to school, why I did port school, I have so many interests.
Okay.
And I get bored incredibly easy.
Okay.
I don't feel like it's ADD,
Yeah.
but I just like I mean, even within the candle business, like, so when you rolled up today and you saw all the wine barrels,
Yeah.
it's because I have mastered that craft.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, okay, let me go back and start to stimulate. So it'd be like, I did have one design that I mastered,
Yeah.
but for the most part, it was like, if I
Let me
make,
try this one. It was your creativity side
Yeah.
that you would spark and be like, all right, let me do this. And you got more fulfillment out of nurturing your creativity
100%.
than trying to actually like build it up. Did you have any intention of building it up, or it was just all like, just extra cash and I had fun doing it?
a little bit of both.
Okay.
It was kind of one of those, like, it's extra cash,
Yeah.
which is great.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, you know, you have these grandiose ideas.
Yes.
But even then, I was like, oh, if it doesn't materialize,
Uh-huh.
it doesn't materialize.
Okay. So you weren't stressing on it.
I wasn't stressing on it. I still thought I was going to be an engineer,
Okay.
you know?
And was this before you did the internship with Caltrans?
I think so.
Okay, so this is still before
Yeah.
the internship. Okay.
Yeah. Life is fluid.
It is, man. And it's fun. It's a journey, bro.
Yeah.
You know? And so so you did that. And so how did you get into the wine or the candles? And then how did you turn that into your full-time gig?
Man, that's like, I've been making those candles now for 9 years.
Okay.
So I think I started making furniture in 2010. I started making candles in 11. I want to say 11.
Okay.
Same concept though. Like, I was looking online, I saw the candles. I'm like, that's kind of a cool concept, but like, where's the proof in the marketplace?
Yeah.
And then going wine tasting, I started seeing them. I'm like,
There's a market for this.
there is a market,
Okay.
and I'm a huge fan of art, always have been.
Okay.
So when I was serving, I started to hoard glass that I thought was cool.
Okay.
And so I was like, I can teach myself how to landscape. I can teach myself how to make furniture. I can probably figure this candle game out.
Yeah.
So that's what I did.
Okay.
I figured out how to cut. I figured out how to sand them. And then it never really took off.
Mm-hmm.
Because once again, it wasn't really a business.
Yeah. It was just like a side hustle again.
It was kind of like a side hustle.
Feeding your creativity again, making cool stuff.
And
Gotcha.
making cheap presents.
Yes.
I was a broke college student. So that was 11, 12, 13. And then it wasn't until my daughter was born at the beginning of 14.
Okay.
I'd finished my degree, my 2-year degree.
Yeah.
I was accepted to go to Chico.
Okay.
And at the same time I was accepted, my wife was interviewed for Napa.
Okay.
So we actually came up to Napa for Mother's Day, checked out the area, fell in love.
Yeah.
She didn't get the job. So we just moved back to SLO or
Okay.
San Luis Obispo.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, we'll go to Chico. We were in Chico looking for houses to rent and trying to find work. And she got the call from Napa. Went to dinner, and I told my wife, I was like, I don't want to engineer.
Okay.
I was like, I'd rather stay at home with our daughter and hustle.
Yep.
I was like, I'll figure it out when we get there.
Yep.
So we moved all of my candle making stuff and all my woodworking stuff into the back of our moving van.
Okay.
And I had a 5x10 storage unit
Okay.
that I was like hustling out of.
Okay.
And taking my daughter to craft shows.
Yep.
We did our first show together when she was 1 year old.
Okay. So you have the whole like suit. and
Baby
she-
Bjorn. I had my tables, and then in the back was her play crib. All the changing, like anything that you need to take care of a child.
What a savage. And I love that because you took all excuses out of it. You're like, I'll just take my daughter. What are you talking
100%.
about? You know, what do you mean? That's what I do.
And I mean, even it's become less as she's gotten older. But man, my daughter has some mileage on her rear end from us traveling to shows, from us traveling to Paso to service our clients.
Mm-hmm. What a great bond.
That's my amigo.
And how important is it to have a partner who supports you when you told your wife, hey, I don't want to be an engineer. I know I've been going to school for the last 5 years to do this. I want to do this other thing. Like, how important is it to have that support behind you?
You have to have some sort of support system.
Yeah.
I mean, as much as, and I say this in a loving way, honey, if you watch this,
She will.
as much as she complains about like the mess at the house.
Uh-huh.
So I have 150 wine barrels in front of my house right now. I have probably 3,000 bottles behind the house because that's where my workshop is.
Okay.
As much as she complains about everything, she knows at the end of the day, I'm doing it for her. I'm doing it for us as a family unit.
Yeah. And the time you're able to spend and teach your daughter, that's invaluable.
Invaluable.
So invaluable. I mean, that's really cool. Because for me, when I quit, I used to work in the grocery industry. And
Sorry to hear that.
yeah, but I started out doing that, and I was in it for 10 years, and I was like, I'm gonna be a store manager, and then a district, and then move my way up, right? And I got my parents both held jobs, and so when I got this job, they were like, oh, you've got that's a career, right? Because back in the day, grocery industry was a great industry to get into, and they're like, you got retirement, you got 401k, you got dental, and you have it made, right?
Yeah.
And so this is what I was being told, and I'm like, yeah. But as the years went on, I'm like, man, I'm not fulfilled at all, and just very unhappy, and then I remember looking to the future, and I wasn't into personal development or anything. I was never around anybody who had money or anything, so no entrepreneurship background. Always had side hustles, like you. I always in school. I was always selling, buying. Most of the time it was weed, but I was always
every hustle's different.
You know what I mean? And so
It's legal now.
but I was always doing something. And I remember 27 years old, coming home just frustrated, and my wife going, just quit. I was like, oh, it's a good job, making like 70 grand a year. What are we gonna do? And she goes, I don't know, but I know that you'll make it.
Yeah.
Like, just quit and we'll figure it out. You're not happy. We're in a position where it's like we can take that risk. We don't have kids, which is probably the biggest factor.
Right.
Because if I had kids, I probably wouldn't have taken this. But at the same time, I always told her I will never have kids in that industry. And so she was like, just quit. And I remember quitting and her being like the reason that I did because of that support. And that's what I was just saying, how important that is, man.
I'll never forget. So when we moved to Napa, I got back in the industry, the restaurant industry.
Okay.
And 6 months in, I went to a different hotel. And then 3 months after that, I became the head bartender at the Marriott here in town.
Okay.
And I made so much money.
Yeah.
And I was so miserable doing it.
Yes.
And so I'll never forget the time where the company and I mutually decided for me not to bartend anymore.
Okay.
Came home. And so every time I've been let go from a job, I always tell my wife, I'm like, I have good news and bad news. Which do you want to hear first?
Yeah.
And the story has always been the same.
Yeah.
Well, what's the good news? We're going to be spending a lot of time together. Well, what's the bad news? I no longer bartend. And I'll never forget coming home and she's like, well, what are you going to do? I was like, and this was 3.5 years ago. The business was like,
It was making some money, but it wasn't like sustained.
Yeah, it was something there.
Okay.
But I could see it and I had the passion to
Okay.
make it something big.
Gotcha.
And that was when I started my personal development.
Okay.
So like a year before we parted ways in the bar, I started to work on myself. I started to listen to people. I started to read.
Yeah.
And so like the gears were turning.
It's powerful. So powerful.
But much like you're making X.
Yeah.
It's so cush.
Yes.
But you're miserable making X.
Yes.
And the thought of going to X divided by 4
Yeah.
but being happier it's a scary thing.
It is.
Because we had bought this house, we had bought my wife a different car, and then it was 8 months after we bought this house is when I left the bar.
Okay. So you got a mortgage now.
So I went from like making and it still hurts to this day. Like $140,000 a year bartending.
Wow, that's great money.
Oh, it was stupid money.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous money.
Okay.
To like 30,000 my first year of candle making.
Okay.
So it's just like
But happy.
so much happier.
Yeah.
So much happier. I love hustling.
Yes.
I love driving around. I love meeting new people.
Mm-hmm.
So even though I was meeting him in the bar, all the while I'm taking care of my daughter full time.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
she's 2 or 3 at this point.
Okay. So she's your sidekick, right?
She's my sidekick. She's
Yeah.
my amigo.
Yeah. That's so cool.
Oh man, it was so cool. I mean, I can look back on it now.
Yeah, looking back, but I guarantee there were some struggles during the process. And so when you committed and you said you came home and you gave your wife the good news and the other good news, I'd say there was probably both good news,
Yeah.
pivotal point in your life. How did that transition go into full time in the business? Was it like you said, you know what, I'm not going to try and get another job. I'm going full on this time in this candles.
Mm-hmm.
And what did that look like to build it? Like, what was your main priority at that time?
Make money.
So sales.
Okay. So I'll never forget. It was a Wednesday that got let go, and so I would bartend on the weekends. So I was the guy.
Yeah.
So Saturday night were my thing.
Mm-hmm.
I remember doing a show that Saturday night, or that Saturday, and after the show wrapped, I was in Oakland. And I remember just like looking at the sunset, looking at the water after the show, and I was like, everything will work out in the end.
Yeah.
I'll never forget like thinking that. I took a picture, I posted on Instagram. I was like, this week has been rough. Everything will be okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that was, I think, 2017.
Okay.
I did 35 events.
35 events. So that's one every 2 weeks, so 2 months. Yeah.
About 3.
Three a month.
Yeah.
And you're driving all over,
all
doing
over
packing
the Bay
your stuff
Area.
up.
Yeah.
And you're having to pay for these too,
Yeah.
right? So you got to kick down cash with no guarantee of getting a return.
Yeah.
And what kind of clientele or what kind of events were they?
Craft shows, like
Okay.
local art and craft shows, local wine walks.
Yeah.
Literally whatever. I was like, hey, I just saw this online. Like, email the promoters. Like, I know the event's 3 days.
Yeah.
Can I please get in?
Yeah.
And then, I take my daughter everywhere.
Now, did you have a nice booth, or how did your setup
Man,
look at the beginning?
Rough.
Okay.
Rough.
Yeah.
So like I the memories pop up on Facebook, or now on Instagram memories pop up. I'm like, oh,
Girl, who is that guy? What the heck?
who's this clown?
Yeah.
So it obviously evolved, and I'll never forget my father-in-law. I was actually just down at my in-laws this weekend.
Okay.
My in-laws have been pivotal to my business.
Okay. Why's that?
Whether it's them coming up to help,
Okay.
like sometimes they would come up. Like if I went to San Jose to do a show, they would come up to Napa for the weekend to watch my daughter.
Good. So you'd get some relief in that.
Yeah, or like a bigger show where I can't commit as much time.
Yes.
And my father-in-law would do shows with me just to like get out, hang out. We'd go in San Francisco and we'd drink beers while we're selling stuff.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, like, I would justify what I was doing to make $200 on a weekend, on a full weekend.
So not much.
Not much.
Yeah.
When I would make like $500 to $600 a night in the bar.
Yeah.
And we were joking about that now because now I'm like, if I don't make $700 a day, $800 a day, it's a bust event.
Yeah. And that's looking back, everything, you can laugh about it, but those times, and that's where you get the joy, right? When you look
100%.
back in the struggles and when you come out of the struggle, because I look back at my life and, there's been a lot of fun times. There's been a lot of successes, but I always go back to the struggles, man, because that's where I learned the most. That's where I grew the most, and those make the best stories.
Oh, 100%.
And so if you're able to for me, I was trying to remember that. So if like I'm struggling or I feel overwhelmed, and just go, man, when I look back at this in the future, I'm going to be excited. And then it excites me for the struggle. It reframes it, right?
I love hearing the word no.
Yeah.
When I reach out to wineries, or if I reach out to people and they tell me no, I'm like, your loss. I was going to stop at you today. You haven't energized me to send out 5 more emails.
Yeah. And so what does your sales look like? What is your sale like, you as a salesman? Because I think a lifeblood of a business is cash flow.
Oh,
so
100%.
money coming in. So
Yeah.
sales. So that's a very important
So
role.
last year, and to be honest, I didn't. So I do a lot of cash sales at my
Yeah.
events, and I'm historically really terrible about keeping track of that.
Yeah.
Hopefully, no one in the IRS is watching. But straight money coming in from accounts. So when I say accounts, I mean wineries that I work with.
Yeah.
Accounts and then credit card cash flow.
Yeah.
We did like 115 sales last year.
Oh, that's awesome.
I mean, a lot of that was consumed by, materials, but straight sales wise was about 150.
But that's selling candles.
Selling candles.
Like, that's freaking awesome, dude. Like, that's so cool that you started that from nothing, and that's just only going to grow because it's still just the beginning. You're still in the
I'm
growth.
still a baby.
Yeah, and like this is the future. Because I was looking at your Instagram, going, "Damn, these are super cool."
Mm-hmm.
And I think if there is that online, which is like, oh, these one-offs, but you can make, not sell one-offs, but like make some and then have like a store.
Yeah.
Where it's not like custom. Oh, I want this winery or something. You're like, oh, I'm gonna make 5 and I'll post these and people can buy these.
My wife has told me that, but I'm just like,
Well, you better get on it, brother.
but I mean, it's learning.
No, it's a process, and there's always so much you can do, right, in business, or should. I should do this.
I love
should,
hearing the word should.
Should, right? And it's going, and really getting down to like, what is the most important thing, and what's the thing that's going to drive the needle the most, right? And so, on the sales though, like, what does your sales, not in revenue, but like getting new clients, what did that look like? What's your process in that?
So probably the way I've obtained most clients is I do a lot of, this is my 4th full year of doing this full time. Mm-hmm. The first year I called it playing business.
Yep.
For
sure.
I'm a business owner. I didn't know what I was doing.
Yes.
I still don't know what I'm doing to a certain degree, but
Most people don't though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so I do a lot of like specific events.
Okay.
Like I used to just do whatever.
Throw it up against the wall, see what sticks, just go.
Email 10 events.
Okay.
Now I'm only doing tastings.
Okay.
Or I try to only do like, there's going to be a wine tasting. There's going to be 12 wineries there and a small arts and crafts section. And it's going to be kind of like a one-night event.
Okay.
So do an event like that and email every winery that's there.
Okay.
And say, hey, like, if you can get me glass, I will give you guys some candles in return for free on me.
Yeah.
And then I will rep your business at my booth.
Yes.
Out of probably have 50 clients now, pushing 50, somewhere in there. 30 have come that way.
That's a great way to get clients because you're offering value, twofold, giving them free product and selling something with their brand on it. And as a business or a winery, everybody loves it when their product goes out.
Oh, 100%.
And especially when you can say, yeah, this is something that's going to sit in their house on the table for 6 months, a year, however long, and they're going to be looking at your brand every single time.
Every day.
To like, that's branding, that's invaluable to them too. So that's a win-win. That's a great way to get clients.
Or like I have hundreds of wine bottles that I call my sample boxes.
Okay.
So I'll make a candle, walk into a winery and go, this is me. This is what I do. Or right down the street or right down the valley.
Yeah.
Take it, burn it. Here's my card. If you never want to hear from me again, throw my card away. If you like the candle, give me a call.
And so did you get nervous going into a place like that?
I used to.
Okay.
And depending on
Like how big
the vibe is.
Yes.
I'm a very laid back individual.
Okay. So when you go into somewhere and they're like high pace and like,
yeah, a little more stuffy, I'm like,
you're like, this is not my client.
yeah. But I probably got 10 clients that way.
Okay.
Because they're like, we got the candle. We put it in the bathroom. Everyone's asking for it.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's work together.
And so how, with the client like that, is it Do they buy from you and then they resell
Yeah.
it, right? Okay, so you're not consigning it in a sense.
No,
Fronting the.
I do some consignment
Okay.
for like micro wineries.
Smaller ones.
Yeah, smaller wineries or clients that they'll reach out to me and say like, we're super small.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we don't necessarily have the upfront funds.
Yeah.
Are you willing to work with us?
Yeah.
The first rule of business is you always say yes.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you get bad vibes. I'm
Yes.
huge on trusting my gut.
For
But
sure.
if my gut says yes,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, yeah, here's a case. You can pay me, sell 10 of them, pay me.
And then you got the rest is your
Yeah.
profit in a sense.
Yeah.
Gotcha. That's the way, that's like old school handshake style business. You know what I mean? Like you got to do those things, especially when you're starting out. You got to be nimble and you got to be
You gotta be
able
flexible.
to. Yeah. You can't be rigid and you can't be like, well, this is my process. And if you don't follow it, it's like, okay, well, let's work together. Let's do business. Let's
Yeah.
create a relationship and let's build together,
Man, so many of my wineries, they're friends.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, like it's almost never a here are your candles buy.
Yeah.
And so many of the wineries I work with are more boutique.
Okay.
And so it is the owner behind the bar. It is the owner in the back.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, tasting associate, here's this. Is Chuck around?
Yeah.
Yeah, Chuck's in the back. Cool. Walk back and
Say what's up.
Yeah.
How you been, man? What's going on?
yeah.
How's
You
business?
You want a glass of wine? Damn straight I want a glass of wine.
Yes.
Which is the biggest perk of when people ask me like what my plans for the business are. I'm like, I'm gonna keep it.
Yeah.
The amount of free wine that I have in my cellar right now makes any hardship manageable.
Any down day, you go, let me go. I remember when Chuck gave me this bottle here. Then put a smile on my face.
The last event I did, I did what I described to you, reach out to everyone.
Yeah.
And so I went around and I call it playing Santa.
Okay.
I'll go out and give everyone their candles
Yes.
in the morning. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, I love my candle. Here's a bottle.
Oh.
Would you be willing to trade bottles for candles?
Go. Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to take these candles home. I would love to take your bottle of wine home. So yeah, I'm okay with that.
And so what does it cost to make a candle? Like, is it a good profit margin in the business?
Oh, for
Okay.
sure.
Good.
For sure. I'd say,
Well, what do you sell for? What do you retail them for?
so retail, like on my website,
Online, yeah.
a wine bottle candle is 22.
Okay.
Takes me like $3 to make it.
Okay. So it's a good margin, but that doesn't include your time.
That doesn't include my time, my labor. But yeah, I mean, my raw cost, it's like anything, at this point, I have a lot of friends that are candle makers.
Okay.
I think I'm the only one that does what I do.
Gotcha.
And they always talk about, oh, your prices. I'm like, yeah, like my prices are what they are. You're subbing your costs on product for, like, we're trading time for, like they have to buy their jars, their labels, their Tic Tacs, whatever they want to do to finish it.
Yeah.
That's all
Costs.
dollar.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Me, I'm like, yeah, like I was either going to watch Game of Thrones or go sit in my shop for 2 hours and chop these up.
Gotcha.
So I'd rather just chop them up.
Yeah.
They're free.
Yeah.
So
And so what's the future look like for Rogue Candle? Like, what is your vision? If you could like paint a perfect picture of your future, what does that look like?
man, if I could paint a perfect picture, and I'm going to say this out loud, so
Some accountability
some
here.
accountability here.
Yes.
My goal is to have like a 15,000 square foot shop
Okay.
and have, let's say, 2,000 to 3,000 of that be dedicated to the candle making process.
Okay.
Because I think the candles will kind of forever be my bread and butter.
Yes.
And then I'm getting back into wine barrel furniture,
Okay.
hence
The wine barrels.
hence the wine barrels.
Yeah.
So I want that to be a dedicated shop. One thing I did in college was I had a hauling business and did a
Okay.
lot of salvage work.
Okay.
I want to have that component, and then in the back, cars are my passion,
Okay.
and so I want to have like a spot in the back with cars.
Okay.
So I can see
Like doing what with cars?
fixing them, flipping them,
Okay.
renting them out, basically having a business right off that surrounds my passion.
So each one of these, you can dive into this one, and then you're like, okay, I'm bored now. Let me dive into this one.
Yeah.
Okay, and then stay energized throughout all of
Mm-hmm.
them. And now, when you have this vision, are you instrumental to the operation, or do you have people running the operations, and then
Little
you
both.
can just come in and put your
Put my
Like-
stamp of approval on things.
okay,
So I actually hired. I've had 5 guys roll through my shop,
okay,
just trying them out.
yeah,
It is a very boring process.
okay,
The candle making process is.
mm-hmm.
And so some guys will be like, no, it's just like mind numbing.
Yeah,
But I actually hired a guy before the shutdown.
yes,
And so he's phenomenal.
that's awesome.
So I've seen what I can accomplish with that
Yes,
and pursue my other interests.
and is your first goal to grow the candles?
Yeah.
Though, get that to a sustainable place where it's like, okay, this is sustainable. Now I can start venturing and building.
100%.
Okay,
So we expanded into Las Vegas 2 years ago.
did you?
Yeah.
What's out there?
It was just a bunch of small markets,
Okay,
but I foresee big clientele out there,
okay,
and I just love Vegas.
gotcha. Gives you an excuse to
Gives
go
me
out there.
gives me a business excuse to go out there.
Okay,
So basically my goal, another grandiose goal for the business, is to have a bunch of little mini production sites
okay,
and the spots that I want to frequently visit.
mm-hmm.
So I have a short list of like 5 cities in my mind.
That's awesome.
And because I mean, the candles are cool.
Mm-hmm.
I want to support the local economy,
Yep.
give the local places a locally made, handcrafted product,
Yeah.
employ some people,
Yep.
but kind of just continue to expand the brand.
Yeah. What's your chokehold in scaling your business?
Time,
Time.
yeah,
So that's where hiring people
yeah.
comes in. And are you doing any personal development on like hiring and like how to hire, how to manage, and
So far in my very short term of hiring,
yeah.
I go off my gut.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
like I feel like I can tell within the first 10 minutes whether I'm going to vibe with this person.
For sure.
And even my wife, she's hired some people,
Okay.
and she's like, I can watch someone walk in the room.
And you just energy is transferable.
Oh, so it's so real.
Yeah, and no, if you're in tune with yourself, and like you said, your gut, like you said that a couple times, the skill of being able to listen to your gut is very powerful. And I've always found when I go against it, it's the wrong thing.
Oh, I went against my gut on Friday.
Oh, what happened?
I was picking these barrels I was picking up.
Okay.
It was 2 loads, picked up one, and I didn't have time to go get the second one.
Okay.
But financially, I wanted it.
Gotcha.
And then so some crazy things happened. My wife texted me. She goes, "How are you?" I was like, "I want to cry." I was like, I went against my gut, and I feel terrible that I went against my gut because I pounded into everyone trusted.
Yeah.
And then these bad things happen, which
Yeah.
we're not going to go into.
Yeah.
But like, it's so instrumental.
It is.
And I legit, you talked about the universe.
Yeah.
I literally apologized to the universe for going against myself.
And did you feel it internally, and you're like, I'm gonna do it anyways?
Yeah, 100%. I made that conscious decision, and I feel like the universe slapped me for it.
Yeah.
And then so I was sitting in my truck on my way home, like apologizing. Like, I'm sorry, gut. I'm sorry I went against you. Universe, I will make sure to trust myself more often now.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That's so cool. It's a powerful thing to follow your gut and to be able to be in tune, because the universe is energy, and if you can tap into it and then find a flow, it's powerful. So I'm gonna finish it out with 2 questions.
Yeah, let's do it.
So, knowing what you know now with all of your trials and tribulations and ups and downs, what advice would you give to yourself, knowing what you know now at your 20-year-old self or 18-year-old self?
Trust the process, I
Okay.
would say, is the big one. And
What process?
just the process of life,
Okay.
or I'd say the big one is stop caring what other people think.
Okay.
Like when I think about really who I was at the core,
Yep.
and I had this convo with my wife a couple months back. I was like, I feel more connected to who I've always been
Yep.
versus what society wanted.
Yep.
I'd say learn to trust your gut more, and just like learn to like ignore
The noise.
everything else. You have to be an engineer. Nah, that's not you.
And what does it take to be able to do this? Because I had a conversation with somebody talking about this exact same thing, being able to be confident in yourself, especially right now with, you know, the society that, I mean, it's just chaos. And so to be able to be comfortable with yourself and not conform to what maybe, you know, the conforming consensus is in society, and be like, you know what, I'm gonna do my own business. I'm not gonna get that job. I'm gonna support this business. I'm not gonna support, you know what I mean? Like, how do you nurture that?
You got to learn.
Okay.
You got to educate. You got to educate yourself. You know, I've listened hundreds of hours of podcasts.
Okay.
I've read. I don't read as much as I should,
Yeah.
but it's just you never know till you know.
Yeah.
So you got to take baby steps, whether that's reading a book, whether that's, and I'm sure you can feel this, the ego gets in the way
For sure.
of everything. So if you can learn to put your ego aside,
Yeah.
I'll never forget when I left the bar, I didn't go to my 10th year high school reunion
Okay.
because I was just a candle maker.
Gotcha.
I owned a candle business, and I thought that was not masculine, not cool, not whatever.
Gotcha.
And now people ask me what I do. I'm like, I make candles. I'm like, I'm sorry, what? I'm like, I own a candle company.
And they're so jealous. They're like, what? You make candles for a living? That's so cool.
It's more like, what is this 6'6" bearded man doing making candles? And then whether they go deeper, but it's just like, I'm so confident in my own skin now.
Yeah.
But it took really 2.5 years, let's say 2 years to fully be confident in saying what I do.
Does personal development help with that?
100%.
Big time, huh?
The way, you know, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron, name any great.
Yeah.
They had personal trainers until the end
Yeah.
of their careers.
Coaches,
People
mentoring,
around them.
building them.
You know, LeBron spends like $1.5 million on his body and on his game. So you're telling me arguably the most athletic person in the history
Yeah.
of athletics still takes pointers from someone else.
Yeah.
Still gets coached up. But you, Nancy, are too prideful to read a book
Yeah.
or to try to change what you think is right.
Yeah. I'm listening to the audiobook right now, $1 Trillion Coach.
Okay.
And this is the coach to the Silicon Valley elite. So there's like one guy who was, you know, to Steve Jobs, you know, has coached them, to Eric Schmidt and Google and the Google, you know, executives. And there was just one guy, and that was like their coach. And it's a great listen right now. I bought the book too. I'm going to read the book because that's one of the things I want to read more. So I'm like, well, let me listen to it. And then when I read it, I could really, you know, retain it. So
That's a good point, to listen and then go back and read it.
like I'll read it and I'll take all the nuggets that I'm hearing as I drive, because, you know, it's real easy to just listen to an audiobook, but sometimes it goes in one ear and out the other. So now the next step is like, I heard it, so now when I read it, it's like, okay, I can cement those in principles. And a lot of it is on building relationships, building you know, hiring and talent and all that stuff. So it's a good book if you're trying to.
It just makes me laugh when people won't get coached.
Well, I used to have the philosophy, like when I was younger, I'd be like, why are you reading? That's stupid. I'm gonna go work on my 65 Mustang and I'm gonna put this exhaust on it, and that's cool. You're an idiot for reading.
This
you know?
is going to bondo over my insecurities that I have, but the Mustang makes me feel good. Like, it it took a lot to say I drive a Prius and I'm a candle maker. Like there's no shame in my game.
And you're 6'6".
And I'm 6'6".
Yeah, and so Jim Rohn. Do you ever listen to Jim Rohn?
No.
So Jim Rohn, you'll need to check him out.
Okay.
He's old school. So Tony Robbins. You listen to Tony Robbins?
I've listened. I love Tony.
So Jim Rohn was Tony Robbins' mentor.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so Jim Rohn, he goes, if you work hard on your job, you'll make a living. You work hard on yourself, you'll make a fortune. 100%. Like when I am like in a funk or like business isn't going right, I step back and I go, okay, what can I do to work on myself? Yeah. And then I'll buy a new book or I'll get something and I'll just focus on that. And then all of a sudden everything else just falls into place.
It's weird.
It's so strange.
It's really weird. How, we keep bringing up the concept of energy.
Yeah.
And it's like, as soon as you make an effort,
yeah,
doors open.
They do. Yeah. It's crazy.
It's crazy.
Go figure.
Like, that could literally be the title, not the real journey of just like, it could just be like, it's crazy.
It's crazy. 100%. So my last question is 10 years from now, Chris, 10 years from now, you're looking at him. This guy comes back to you today. What advice does Chris 10 years out give you today that you're not doing?
Quit being lazy.
Okay.
I mean, either that or, like I said, to give advice to my younger self, it's just keep working.
Okay.
Trust the process. Like all those, like, you can't see the road you're building because you're too busy looking at the bricks, or you can't see the house that you're building because you're just slapping bricks down all day.
Yeah.
But like in 10 years, you'll know that all that time laying those bricks is going to pay off when you take a step back and you're like,
okay,
damn, that's a cool house.
Yeah. Like it was hard and it was some roads.
Yeah. And even in 10 years, I still feel like I'll be like,
it's a forever going process.
Yeah.
Business and life. Like it just doesn't, you don't just get somewhere and then go like, oh, I'm good now. It's forever fluid and going and changing and growing. You're either growing or you're dying,
Yeah.
And so when you say quit being so lazy, what do you mean by that? Like
there's in
your business though, like
yeah,
what do you know you should be doing and where you're like, maybe I shouldn't,
I should be sending out emails every morning.
Okay.
I should be sending out a lot more,
like database.
Not even database, just like reach out for clients.
Okay.
I should be emailing, like there's 1,000 wineries.
Yes.
Within like an hour and a half of me.
Yeah.
That's not even counting Paso Robles and San Luis and south of there. I have 50 clients.
Okay.
So there's a 950
that you haven't even tapped into.
I haven't even tapped into.
Yeah.
I haven't heard 950 no's.
Mm-hmm.
Let alone all the retail, all the wine shops, all the
local stores.
Yeah, and it just ripples out, right?
So sales,
yeah.
So just work harder and quit being so lazy in sales.
Like I mentioned, my guy, he's great at production.
I was gonna say, once you get that piece, and then you can focus more on the sales, then you feel, because it's almost for me, I find, and that's one of the things that I'm working on is hiring. Mm-hmm. That was my 2020 goal, was hiring and leveraging, like how you said time. When I asked you what's your chokehold, and you said time, that's everybody's, right, in business. And so hiring this person to help with your production, now you can go, okay, well, I can get these orders done if I go make the sales.
Yeah.
Because at a subconscious level, I know for me, I'm like, well, I can go get more transactions, but then I have to do all the work that comes with the clients.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want, or I can't sustain what I know I can go create.
Right.
And so that's where it's like, okay, I need to skill up and learn to hire and teach people to execute, on the level that I would like the execution on, so I can continue going and bringing more sales in.
Once again, that's such a big ego thing to get over. I have a couple of these small wineries that they're like, no one can do what I can do.
Yeah. And
I thought that for the first 6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
And then when I took a step back and realized, like, they might be able to do 80% of what I can do, or 60% or 50%.
Yeah.
But I look at my hourly rate, what I'm capable in the shop. I'm paying them X. They're producing 3X.
Yeah.
That's still a win.
That's how many of those can I hire?
Yeah.
And how many sales can I go out and get, you know?
With so many of my winery clients, and that's one lesson that I've learned, and we talked about meeting people in the podcast and learning lessons on business lessons. It's learning those little nuggets that were such a small
Pivotal
piece of the conversation.
Yeah.
That I looked at that because I was like, why are you doing this, and this when all you're doing is stressing about time?
Yeah.
He's like, because no one can do it as good as me. Like, that's true, but
so it helps you from the outside looking. It's always easier from the outside looking in. It's always easy to give somebody else advice.
100%.
Hey, you should be doing this. I can see it very clearly from here. But when you're in your own self, it's like, I can't, you know.
When you're in your own small business and you're growing, it's so hard to take a step back and try to dictate.
Yeah.
And so that's with the shutdown. That's the one piece that I've been trying to do is learn to take a step back.
Okay.
And learn how to. And so I think my 10-year self will be like, you're building a good foundation.
Okay.
Keep building.
Keep building.
Yeah.
Improve that process. Keep going. Work harder. Improve the process. Work the process.
Not even work harder, because my big thing, one of my big financial goals is money isn't my goal.
Yeah.
Like
most
I said,
people it isn't.
It's time.
Yes.
Which is my biggest roadblock. You know? So I want to put systems in place. You know, I told a client that my goal is $200,000 a year, working 15 hours a week.
Oh, that's awesome.
And even my worker now, we were talking about it, and I was like, you could either tell me, Chris, you'll make $1 million a year, but you have to work 60 hours a week, or you can make 150 a year, working 10. Yeah, it's not an exponential thing. You're making way more money. Your hourly rate on that 60 hours is way higher, but waking up in the morning and like watching cartoons with my daughter while I drink my coffee and like having my laptop off to the side or like checking Instagram in the morning, you couldn't pay me. You literally could not pay me to take that away.
It's so valuable to her future.
Wait till your daughter gets older. Like, especially, man, that's a whole nother episode, but like time with the ones you love is more valuable than any. And so, like you said, building systems in place to create that.
Yep. It's important. It's hard to do, but it's like get that 30,000 foot view and go, okay, well, who do I need to put in place? What do I need to do? And then learn the skills to do that, you know, and which sounds like you've been great at. From how do you do lawn care? Oh, well, let me Google it. You know, everything's at our fingertips nowadays.
There's no excuses.
No excuses.
If you want to start a business, there are zero excuses.
Zero excuses.
Because the market doesn't care. At the end of the day, the market does not care what you are. Can you bring value?
Yep.
Can you make something cool? Can you provide this service? Can you provide that service? Can you do it better than someone else? The answer is yes. You could be an alien from outer space, but as long as you can bring value, the market's gonna be like, cool.
Yeah. And so on that note, let's end it off. What's the best way for them to see your candles and see your work?
Instagram, Facebook, probably the best. So it's Rogue Candle Co.
Okay.
So ROGUE Candle CO. That's probably the best way.
Perfect. And I'll put links to Instagram, Facebook, your website, everything down below so people can check it out.
Nice.
I really appreciate you sharing your story, man. Thank you so much.
Thanks for watching the Real Journey podcast. I appreciate you sticking around and seeing this one through. If you want to see more amazing content, I got some more videos right here of local entrepreneurs, business people, and people that are just trying to do good in our own community, sharing their story, sharing their journey. Make sure to subscribe. See you next time. I'm Matt Cole. This is the Real Journey podcast. Take care.